Karen Warden with Film Courage, the radio show, and we just got finished with our interview with Mr. Thomas Verrette of I Am the Bluebird. And when we were in studio, we asked you, what is your kryptonite? And you mentioned money, which I'm sure that's kryptonite for a lot of people as well. Can you touch on what happens or the dilemma that filmmakers face when they put all their money into the production of the film, and then when it comes to finish the film, post-production, there's nothing left?
Sure. Well, like I was saying before, like one issue that we had with I Am the Bluebird was that we didn't plan for distribution or marketing or I mean, to some extent, post-production. Partially because, like, you know, like the kind of, you know, the general consensus when you're making a movie is like you put everything in front of the screen, every dime that you have for your film. You should, you know, especially when it's like at that level, you should try to, you know, let it show on screen. Try to put everything into the movie that you see, and what I would say to that, having gone through that process now, is instead of compromising that number, just know that you need more than that. Like if you have $100,000 for a movie, you should raise $200,000 for a movie. Like, was one thing that we were, you know, we started to realize is, you know, like during the production, you find the best DP that you can for the money, the best gaffer that you can for the money, the best equipment that you can get for the money, the best, you know, actors that you can get for the money that you have to work with. And then when you get to post-production, you're like, you know, well, I can edit, so I'll edit. Or I can write the music, so I'll write the music. Which, yeah, that's true. You know, and I got into filmmaking because I wanted to write the music. But like when it came to like editing, like I had an editor and I had somebody do the sound. Like there was no way I was going to go through that process on my own. Partially because you get too close to what you've done, and then, you know, you'd make decisions that at the end of the day would compromise the integrity of the movie, or could, because you're married to what you've already shot. And then, but, you know, and then once you get, so, you know, you start kind of cutting corners a little bit around the post-production phase, and then once the movie's done, then you're like, you know, then there's no money left, and you're like, well, you know, we don't need like a sales agent. You can't afford the best sales agent for the money because you didn't allocate any funds for it. You know, like marketing materials, like a team to design all that stuff, like the promotional materials, the trailers, the posters, like any of that stuff. And when you end up having is a movie and nothing else, you have no way. And so you start, you know, that what you do is you really are in turn compromising the whole film by not giving yourself the you know, or planning in advance for everything that you would need after the movie's done. Like deliverables is a lot of things that people forget about, which luckily for me, like I had access to a lot of ways to get those without paying for it. But like if you don't have access to that stuff, that can cost you anywhere to like $35,000 to get all the different tapes and the dubs and all this, you know, like it gets expensive. And the point I'm trying to make is that plan for it, budget for it. Like if you think you can do your movie for $100,000, instead of compromising that $100,000 to pay for the stuff in post and, like, you know, what happens after that with marketing and prints and all that stuff, you know, add that to your budget. Like people, like in your, like, you know, I think one thing that, you know, I know at least a lot of filmmakers kind of make the mistake of is that they don't, they think that the more that they ask for, the harder it's going to be to get. And, you know, having, like, you know, starting on the next project and, like, kind of going through this process once before, I've kind of started to realize that that's not necessarily true. The biggest problem that people have with investing is the plan not being smart enough, and it's not being, like, doesn't have everything that it should. So when you show a plan to an investor and it's like, you know, well, we can do this movie for $80,000 or, you know, $100,000 or $200,000, that, you know, depending on who you're talking to, that may not be a lot of money to them, but but if you don't have, you know, your budget and it doesn't have all these things in it that deal with the film after the fact, they're not going to be like, oh well, that's not that much money. They're not going to think that. They're going to be like, why would I spend $200,000 on this movie if there's no way for anybody to see it? Because then that's how they're going to make their money back, you know. Or if they're not even concerned about it, it just comes across as kind of amateur, where it's not really really put in place. And I think that's like, you know, that's probably one of the most important things I learned off of doing I'm the Bluebird is that kind of whole process of dealing with the end game, and you know, not going up to investors. Like investors, like if they're going to spend money on something, they're going to spend money on it. Like, you know, or they have money to, you might as well give them the best information that they can have, and also give yourself the best opportunity to make a successful film and get it out there. We made that mistake because we didn't know about that stuff. Like I was, like I said, I was kind of in school at the time, so my primary focus was finishing the film, and you know, we didn't plan for all that stuff because we hadn't gone through the process before. So I mean, this is kind of partially like what I would do if I was going to redo it. I guess if I was going to go back and start over, I would find an extra few $100,000 and be honest.
Yeah.
People respect honesty as much as, like, it's sometimes scary to ask for, you know, $200,000 more dollars, like for a movie or however much you're trying to make your movie for. At the end of the day, it's not that much money, like to where it's, you know, if you spend it right, you'll be fine. I think, and as long as the movie's good. Obviously, that's important, but yeah, plan for it.